Hi everyone, welcome to the Psychology of Dating podcast. You're listening to me, Nadine Newkirk. I'm both a clinical psychologist and a dating coach. For today's episode, I want to talk to you about following through with dating connections. This is whether it's on the apps or whether you've been dating in person just once or for many months. And how do we have that commitment to follow something through right until the end? And what does that mean? So when I talk about following through, we don't want to end something prematurely. We don't want to start messaging someone on the app and then go off the apps for a week, not reply again. We don't want to go on a date with someone and then ghost them when we're not interested. Or we don't want to date someone for a couple of months and then they're not replying and then never follow through on our end to properly close that connection. Following through also means not just not ending things prematurely, but also making sure that we're not continuing with a connection when we know it's not working. So following through to actually close up that chapter, make sure that we get out of there and we're not prolonging suffering or pain or making it harder to reach our dating goal. The first area I want to think about is when you're using the dating apps. We know this is really common. Online dating is really big in this age. So how do you follow through with connections there? Tip number one is when you match with someone, first of all, make sure that you don't have so many matches that you're exhausted and you can't follow through with them. So you might need to cap your swiping if that's the case. But when you match with people, follow through with every person. So every person that you match with, send them a first message. Be proactive, every single connection. If you are having a flowing conversation, there's no obvious deal breakers, ask every connection on a date, a video date, an in-person date. Don't be in a maybe zone and leave it till it fizzles after a few weeks. That's cutting chances. If we take action, if we be proactive and initiate, you're going to maximize your statistical success in dating. If you are uncertain about a connection on the apps, you can send a follow-up message. So maybe you had some really consistent back and forth with someone, you thought it was going somewhere, and then suddenly it's crickets. They haven't messaged in a few days or a week. You can send a follow-up message before you unmatch on the apps instead of just leaving all those half-finished conversations in the apps. That's going to add to dating burnout or fatigue. If you're constantly seeing that, having those reminders, your brain will say, see, there's another reason why it won't work out. But if we clear up the inbox and you can send a message to someone and say, hey, really enjoyed chatting, do you want to go on a date or would you prefer to unmatch? And just give them one last chance. And if they don't reply then in a certain period, then you can unmatch them. You're following it through to ending it. Or maybe they reply and you go on a date. And then you're following that connection through to dating. There are some occasions where you may want to leave it as I call it like a natural fizzle. So maybe this is where you've realized actually there's a deal breaker here. I'm not interested in this person. They haven't messaged you either. It seems mutual. It's okay to leave that, but I want you to ask yourself, am I leaving this because I feel comfortable and that feels closed off chapter in my mind? Or am I leaving it because it just feels too uncomfortable to directly end it and say, hey, good luck on your search, I'm not interested? Maybe you're actually just avoiding what you find is a difficult conversation. And in that case, what we want to do is practice showing up how we'd like to be in dating, ending connections, being honest, and even if someone gets uncomfortable emotions, if you're showing up with your values, with consistency and kindness, then you will have higher self-esteem from that. It'll improve your self-worth. Okay, so what about following through with connections when you've actually met a person? You've been going on dates. Following through looks like being consistent. So messaging consistently, meeting up on dates consistently if you're enjoying it, showing up for your 50%. So remembering, on average, we'd like in a connection the other person to show up for their 50%, be initiating. It doesn't always have to be 100% like that. Maybe they initiate 2, you initiate 1, they initiate 1, you initiate 2. It's okay if it's not 1, 1, 1, but overall, on the average, you want it to be 50%, and just making sure that you're showing up for your 50%. And again, if you're not interested, don't just ghost someone. What this can do over time is erode your sense of self-respect, or it can add an additional awkward encounter when you next bump into that person, or you see them on the apps and you get a pang of guilt, or maybe they message you a month or 2 down the track thinking they can spark something up when you know you're not interested. So to really follow something through and fully close off that chapter, that's where you're sending a clear, honest message that you're not interested and, wishing them well on their search. Remembering that if you show up with your values and how you'd like to be treated, it doesn't guarantee that someone else shows up that way, but it maximizes your chances for people to respond in that way. My third and final tip is don't overcomplicate whether or not you should follow through with someone, keep seeing them, or whether you want to end the chapter. Sometimes, our body knows, our gut knows, but our mind is trying to convince us otherwise. So a helpful rule of thumb is if you're really thinking, I feel uncomfortable, I don't get excited at all to meet up with this person, your body, your mind's telling you a no, then don't continue, don't force it. But if you're uncertain, or if you're feeling like, I'm really excited, I really want to keep seeing this person, then keep going on dates. And know that it's really normal to be in an uncertain phase. You're getting to know someone. It's normal for them not to know if, they want to be a long-term partner. It's normal for you not to know, because you can't know after a few hours of meeting someone, or even a week, or even a few months sometimes, or a year. Sometimes you need time, and it is different for each connection. But give yourself that permission to be in the maybe uncertain phase. A lot of people have fears that if I am unsure about someone, I'm leading them on, or I'm being dishonest. And the main thing is, if you're in the dating phase, keep going. You're actually giving them a chance. You're giving the connection a chance to grow if you're a maybe. If they really want to be exclusive and you're not there yet, it's just clearly and openly communicating about that. That I enjoy dating you, I'd like to see where this goes. For me, I'd like to take a bit slower. Are you okay with that? So not overcomplicating it, knowing that if you're uncertain or it's a yes, then keep going on dates. And if it's a no, then follow through and properly end the connection. Okay, everyone, it was lovely speaking to you all. And before you go, I'd like to remind you that I have my next group coaching program up and running on the 9th of July. This will be Wednesday mornings for people in Australia time zones, and it'll be Tuesday evenings for people in US time zones. This group program is 12 weeks, 1 hour weekly sessions, and then also some individual sessions. And the main aim of this coaching program is to give you some essential skills for dating. So knowing about dating dynamics, communication skills, assertiveness, how to navigate online dating, how to navigate dating emotions like anxiety. If you'd like to learn more, you can check out NadineNewkirk.com. That's NEUKIRCH. And you can find the link in the podcast show notes.